Hola a todos, soy yo Rosa and bienvenido de nuevo a mi canal. And yes, you guys, welcome back to another video. So today's video is actually very special to me. It's something I've been practicing for the last couple of years now, and that is minimalism. So I am just going to chit chat with you guys and discuss my journey of how I went from being a low-key hoarder to someone practicing minimalism and living with less. So without further ado, let's get started. I feel like it's appropriate to describe the person I was before. Maybe 3 or 4 years ago, before I adopted this mindset, and just how I grew up. So I come from a family who I definitely would describe as trying to keep up with the Joneses. I always saw my parents shopping constantly, like all the time. I feel like either every couple of days, every weekend, most definitely. Really anywhere, like at any type of store, thrift stores, like regular stores, anything you can think of, honestly. You know, searching, looking, or seeking to be excited from the next shiny new thing. And that could be big, small, it really didn't matter. It just was something I saw on a regular basis to see things coming into my household all the time. That's what I grew up seeing. So it only makes sense that when I turned into a teenager and actually started getting money in my hands or either earning money, I didn't know how to use it properly, and I would adopt the same habits I saw in my parents, which were, you know, constantly shopping for the next new shiny thing. And it was just nothing major at first because you're a teenager, and luckily at the time I never had a credit card. I only had a credit card when I reached like my young adulthood, so that was good. However, I still definitely made very dumb purchases and just always trying to keep up appearances as a teenager, you know, when you're at that age and you grew up seeing basically your parents doing the same thing. My parents were shopaholics, I turned into a shopaholic, and I had the access to become a shopaholic. So it was just a very toxic combination for me. And once I actually got my own home at the age of 21, that was like my focus, was to fill my new home with my own personal property. So that obviously spiraled into a bigger issue. It never really got into check, and it was just a constant cycle of being like that hamster in a wheel of buying things because you are used to it, you're seeking excitement, you're chasing a feeling. And yeah, it basically just didn't get in check, even though I knew I had an issue, until I moved out. Now, when I moved out, a lot was going on in my life, and a lot mentally was changing for me. So I definitely remember around that time I was going through so many transitions and becoming more spiritual and realizing who I was and wanted to be, and separating what I always was and conditioned to be growing up to what I want to see in myself and desire for my life. So yeah, with that came a lot of educating myself in different facets of what I was interested in. And with that education came clarity. It was a very exciting time for me, and partnered with the fact I was starting to travel at that age as well, especially outside of the country. I felt like that was major. So what that looked like for me was I was just obsessing over information that was about spirituality, different lifestyles, becoming financially savvy, and just decongesting anything that is cluttering my life. Coming across the information I basically was looking for, especially finding the likes of Dave Ramsey, Small Wardrobe, the Minimalist podcast, I mean, just to name a few, those people heavily impacted my mindset and ultimately changed my life for the better, because it showed me a whole new world that I was not, you know, raised with. Thank goodness I found those people and others similar, because for me, I was really struggling with the person I was when I was traveling and living a certain type of way and having a different mindset. And by the time I go back home, I'm back to my old ways and my typical Western mindset. So I felt like I was actually able to bridge the gap and be who I wanted to be full term instead of just part term. Because I felt kind of fake. I was like, how am I so, you know, woke and minimalist and simplistic when I'm traveling? But then when I go back home, I'm back to scrolling on the fashion boutiques and all into the styles and watching, you know, haul videos and all this crap. So finally I was able to kick those habits, I feel like, because now I definitely adopt what I am and who I am into my house, my life, my mind. It's just all around. I love how far I've came and how much I have learned in this process. So we are just going to start with the pros, because for me, they are endless. And first pro is the fact I now buy with intention, which I feel like I definitely didn't do before, or if I did, it was not nearly as much. So yeah, what I mean by that is when I am purchasing something or I am considering purchasing something, you best believe it is mentally going through a trial in my mind, a conditioning, if you will, of literally all the pros and cons to having that into my life. Like, can I afford it? Is it gonna set me back physically, mentally, space-wise? Is it my vibe? Will it be my vibe? Is it a placebo? Like, where is my mindset now, and is it gonna stay like that for a while? Is that truly just something that, you know, I want or I need, or I really feel like it's part of something that I want to add to my life? Or is it just cute and making me greedy, honestly? I pretty much go through everything, and coming from where I come from, it is hard to do that. I feel like I never used to really do that, and if I did, it definitely wasn't to the effect I do it now. So what I have learned is you have to put barriers in the way of the access. And that could be any type of barriers. Also, a good way to do that is slowing down the decision making. That is major for me. That's all I do. I literally will think about it until I get tired of thinking about it, and I'll have to like take a break, or I'll sleep on the idea and see how I feel tomorrow. Or like I'll just wait, like I said, for like, you know, a couple of hours or a day or maybe a week, and still see is it in stock online if I'm like shopping for something and I'm like, do I want this, do I not? A whole rigorous test goes through my mind when I'm thinking of purchasing. You know, online shopping, I am constantly adding and subtracting from my cart. Usually subtracting, I just add to like, you know, see what I like. Then I downsize from there. That could take, you know, hours, days, whatever. This was definitely a bigger issue for me when I had a full-time job, because I was getting a regular paycheck. So I would, you know, validate the reason I was losing money to the fact I knew I was gonna get a set amount at a set time. But yeah, there was still no excuse. I felt like everything was an excuse as to why I was shopping or setting up mentally for things that definitely I should have been living in the now about. Also, when I was working, I was very bored. I had no other hobbies, because when you have a full-time job, it feels like you have no other time in your life. At least for me, it does. So I ultimately made shopping a hobby of mine and would shop in my free time, and the money I would spend, I would just justify it as, you know what, I'm bored, there's nothing else to do, there's nothing else for me to spend my money on or waste it on, in a sense, so I might as well look fly. And that was like my mindset. At this point in life, I'm so strict. I definitely have a set list all the time of what I shop for. I never usually steer out of that unless I get lucky and find something I truly feel like is a deal and something I truly feel like I want to purchase with my whole heart. And yeah, even if I don't end up loving it or my feelings change about it, I am still quick to return something. I do not waste time when it comes to those things. And yeah, if it doesn't give me like more than just a immediate spark, if it actually gives me enjoyment and true quality in my life, I feel like, then I'm keeping it. If it doesn't, then I am really good at deciphering those feelings and, you know, removing those things out of my life. So I love that I'm so strict with myself in that way. I say strict, but ultimately I mean my boundaries have changed and I basically have them now, where before my wallet didn't have many boundaries. Not to say I don't splurge from time to time, but when I do, these decisions are heavily thought about, and I truly have a deep appreciation for what I am buying and what I'm getting. And if I don't, then best believe it is going back if possible. I am good with deciphering those feelings and just finding a really good healthy balance in that way. So next thing I've adopted through minimalism is realizing less things equals less clutter and less to clean up after. I'm going to be completely honest actually. My closet is a work in progress, but we are here today to say we're not perfect because, you know, in the past, I've been a girl who really loved her fashion over Black Friday sales, Forever 21 sales, Zoomy sales, all types of sales, thrift store finds, everything. So yeah, my closets are to capacity. I'm the type who feel like I still really like most of my things. I've decluttered what I pretty much want to declutter, and at this point I feel like all my stuff is fly and really cute, and you know, I don't necessarily want to get rid of, but I'm okay with that. My closet may be struggling and is a work in progress. But I just make up with that in other aspects of my life and pretty much every other aspect of my life, because my home is completely opposite. I feel like at first when I got my home, I was all into the, you know, tacky or basic home decor, the stuff you see at Marshall's or TJ Maxx or Walmart or anywhere like that. But I grew out of that, and I feel like I've definitely refined my style and aesthetic, especially when it comes to my home. I am a girl who likes a good eco-modern style house, you know, giving really lofty vibes. So clutter doesn't really go with my aesthetic, and I just don't feel like it doesn't fit in my lifestyle. It's not in the look I want. So aside from my wardrobe, I feel like that is where I'm finding balance, if you will, because we're here to say minimalism is definitely a personal journey, just like religion, just like what you eat, just like anything you practice. So it's up to you of where your strengths and weaknesses are, and I can admit where mine are as well. We are definitely on a hiatus, however, and I've been on a hiatus for a while now. I definitely didn't participate in last year's Black Friday sale, or I don't believe maybe the year before that, or maybe very limited the year before that. Anywho, for the last few years, I've definitely not been shopping for the fun of it, unless it's something that I truly just want to make the fun of it. I'm not gonna lie, my number one weakness is a good Fashion Nova sale, especially for Black Friday. But you know, I always think mentally before I add something new. The first thing I think of is, one, girl, you got already every outfit for every occasion, every day of the week, everything, okay? I got all types of outfits. I don't need no more, okay? And second of all is I also think, you know, with time going on, styles are just gonna change. Why waste money? when you may be out of style by the time you get to those items, when you could just save the money and get things at a discount at a later time when it's more up to date or more on time for you. So yeah, that's another barrier that I do put in front of myself when I'm thinking of just doing something unnecessarily. I'm like, you know, can this wait? Can this be on pause? Just don't get down or fall for the tactics anymore. And if I do use something, it's on discount because by the time I want to get it, I want, you know, a cheaper price. Or either I'm prepared for it and I want to enjoy that, you know, shopping spree, if you will. So that's just kind of where I'm not perfect, and I feel like I'm perfectly fine with that. And I've just been doing this for the last 3 or 4 years, so imagine where I came from. I've definitely made progress, even though my wardrobe still is way too much, but we now are retired. Not buying unless I'm replacing something or completely wearing something out or almost done with it. Then that's when I start putting things into consideration. But until then, I definitely use what I have, and that comes to toiletries, that goes to wardrobe, that goes to literally everything I own. I don't just mindlessly get backups. I don't enjoy that, and there's no purpose in that for me. Think about when you are just adding and adding and adding everything and anything, and you don't subtract anything or either the equal amount you're adding. You are just gonna have bullshit collect, and it's going to start to feel like bullshit, because that's how it felt like for me, and how it still sometimes feels like for me. Is just like you get overwhelmed and you start hating everything. You want to set it on fire and just be like, fuck all this shit, and it's just consuming. So it literally will just start turning into a love-hate relationship with your items as well. It's like you're not even finding pleasure, you're finding discomfort from their presence, but yet you are toxically attached to these things. It's just mayhem. Another thing we need to touch on, I feel like I've greatly benefited from and didn't even know I ever needed, was the fact that I have found my style finally. And I'm just constantly refining it and curating it, and it's like I have a relationship with the things I identify with in a way, because before I definitely didn't have that. I feel like a lot of people don't have that actually. You know, those people who literally will wear and have any and everything they feel like looks expensive or is just a value or just a good deal or something that looks appealing to someone, I guess. And they don't necessarily have a style or a vibe, and it's just more like a collective style, honestly, which I definitely had before. My parents have as of now, and it's not really a look I want to be affiliated with personally. I feel like my vibe, I've realized, is more, like I said, just eco-friendly, minimalistic, lofty, simplistic vibes. That's literally the vibe of everything I purchase and everything I love. It just isn't, you know, one with the other. It doesn't really go. So I'm glad I found out that, you know, and how I found this style is because when I was seeing inspo for this type of vibe or this type of aesthetic, it is what gave me the most pleasure. And I mean, we all think things are cute and decor is, you know, inspirational and whatnot, but ultimately I found when I was looking up like modern eco style homes, that is what I felt like was timeless looking and the most appealing visually. That is just what I personally wanted for myself and wanted to acquire. Also with that, I feel like classic style is more affordable in the long run because things that are classic you never usually replace. It's usually like something that lasts forever or almost forever. And I'm speaking of like things like gold, leathered goods, just very clean and simplistic things with colors that are associated with that as well. So I feel like less is more in most aspects, especially when it comes to long-lasting impression. And I just love the look of not doing too much, but like having that earthy vibe that I feel like reinforces just what matters most in life, which is earth and the elements. So yeah, I just finally found my style and I love it. It's something that a lot of people, I feel like, you can't even pay for taste. It's more like just something acquired, but I feel like my taste is really good. And I'm just very lucky to finally find that and just constantly refining that and playing around with that, because I feel like before, goodness, just everything felt like a hot mess. I'm not gonna lie. Like when your style or when the color palette or when just ideas or just different, you know, things are going on without any type of unity, it's just too much for the mind. Deciding on what I want and what I like way more easier. If it doesn't fit my vibe, then I don't want it, and it saves a lot of time and money. So I love that part. But yeah, mental liberation is another huge benefactor, because I feel like now I truly just like don't care about so much things. And I mean like less cleaning and clutter, less laundry, less separating, less all this and that, dusting. Like that as a whole is just one less worry, because honestly I feel like my house is so easy to clean. When there's less things, there's less things to clean. So yeah, 1 + 1 = 2 in that aspect. And just a lot of other liberations when it comes to financial. I'm not worried about like debts when it comes to my shopping habit from Klarna or Afterpay or any of those websites. I'm not concerned about like how I'm perceived or like fitting in, being in style, being trendy, whatever that is. One less problem overall in your life and in your wallet, because to me there's not one without the other. I feel like if it's affecting your wallet, then it's definitely affecting your life, because you spend your time and energy to make money, and if you lose money, hopefully you want to regain that back, so that comes at a cost. And when it's affecting your life, you use that time and energy to sell to a job, ultimately to survive or to live or to have a certain lifestyle. So less money, less problems most of the time. And that's definitely been the case for me, especially with not rationalizing dumb purchases with having a full-time paycheck, or just having boredom in my life and supplementing that with shopping because I have nothing else to do, which I notice a lot of other people do as well. And simple thing I feel like I've learned from this process is the fact I just am very keen and always looking for things now that are multifunctional and multi-purpose use. And what I mean by that is everything. Okay, I feel like just as my life is now, I'm more into doing things myself, more into natural things. If I can do it or if I can learn it, I will. And I feel like I've just been saving so much clutter that way, so much time and so much money, because literally so many things that you don't think of you can use for everything. For example, one thing I do now is I make my own toothpaste, and that's because last time I ran out of toothpaste, I was like, I'm sure there's a healthy alternative for this, and I was seeing myself traveling soon. I didn't want to make purchases that I wasn't committed to, so I'm like, let's figure out how to make our own. I found a really good recipe and I don't see myself turning back. So yeah, I definitely use ingredients for multi-uses, even utensils, items. Another thing is I don't use a toaster at home. I adopted this with traveling. I just feel like my toast is perfectly fine toasting on a pan or a skillet. I don't like a lot of appliances. I don't like a lot of clutter in the kitchen. It is not appealing to me and it gets on my nerves. So anything I can do, I will do. And that just goes into so many things and so many ideas I have in the future. We really don't need as much as we consume, and literally if I don't need it, it makes me happy to not see it. So yeah, that is just something that I'll get into later videos when it comes to multifunctional use items, but that is huge for me. I definitely find ways to make do with what I have. I like to think of myself as a spoiled American citizen, North American citizen. My mindset, I really just was so ignorant to many things, and I'm very, very grateful I was able to check that. So that's basically why I'm making this video and sharing with you guys just what I feel like has changed so much of me in positive ways that I want other people to find as well. I definitely am excited for the future. I have so many ideas, you guys, because I don't want to consider myself a frugal bitch, but I'm a frugal bitch, and it's all just in a bigger purpose here. So yeah, I'm definitely happy to share my story now, and other things I'll touch on in future videos. But I hope you guys definitely enjoyed this video. I really feel like it's special talking to you guys about minimalism because I truly enjoy it and it's benefited me completely. However, it is not all sunshine and rainbows, and everyone's different. So I definitely have plans on doing a cons video of minimalism, and I'll do that in the future. But until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.